Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 most outrageous international fast food options. Now, up until recently, it was easy to be under the impression that the United States sat atop the throne uncontested for the world's fattest country. And it also seemed like general knowledge that many countries resented America for holding that title. After careful, painstaking, and sometimes stomach-turning research, we found that many other countries are producing over-the-top fast food items that may give America a run for its money. In the video today, we're looking at some of the most outrageous options we found. Horrifying, yeah, most of these are, but to be honest, I would probably give most of them a try. Let's get started.
The top 10 outrageous international fast food options. Number 10. Sausage and barbecue sub from Subway in Japan. Although it's not as eye-poppingly outrageous as one might expect, it's important to keep in mind that Subway is supposed to be one of the more nutritionally reasonable fast food giants, in America at least. Japan's Subway seems to want to approach cold cuts a bit differently, offering what's described as a coarsely ground juicy sausage, barbecue sauce, and the standard choices of cheese, vegetables, and bread. Early reviews of the sandwich were harsh, but that doesn't stop millions of people from eating Subway every day, so don't let that discourage you from trying. If you're in the country and you're looking to switch it up, a 6-inch of this off-kilter treat is offered at a modest 490 yen, which is around $5.02. Number 9. Hot dog pizza from Pizza Hut, USA. A list of outrageous food items wouldn't be complete with at least one entry from the good old US of A. Surprisingly, this one ranks relatively low on the list, but don't let that make you think that it isn't at least a little over the top. Introduced to US markets in June of 2015, Pizza Hut's Hot Dog Bites pizza is essentially a normal pie surrounded by a halo of approximately 28 mini hot dogs and a hot dog bun-style crust. According to the common notion of even if it's bad, it's still pretty good, there's little doubt that the pizza itself is probably standard, middle-of-the-road fast food pizza. It's the addition of mini frankfurters that's eliciting all sorts of reactions, praising its creativity of ingredient combination, applauding the addition of a side of French's mustard, shunning the low-quality ingredients, and dismissing the Franken pizza purely based on aesthetics. One Washington Post journalist called the Hot Dog Bites pizza visually upsetting, while a Duluth Tribune writer called it a kitchen error. We'll let you decide for yourself. Good luck. Number 8. Napoli Crispy Pizza Chicken Wings from KFC Hong Kong. One of the most recent additions to the ever-growing catalogue of international food oddities, the crispy pizza chicken wing from KFC Hong Kong is also one of the more unlikely combinations. Color us curious though. According to BuzzFeed, it's a normal chicken wing covered in layers of mozzarella and cheddar cheese with marinara drizzled on top. KFC is no stranger to offering over-the-top meal choices, and the crispy pizza chicken wing essentially takes fried chicken breading to the next level in the form of 2 types of cheese. Outrageous? Well, just a little bit. Delicious? I'm going to encourage you to find out. The Napoli Crispy Pizza Chicken Meal Set includes 2 wings, mushroom rice, egg tart, and a drink for 39 Hong Kong dollars, which is around $5 in the US. Not bad. Number 7. Birizza from Pizza Hut, India. Introduced to Indian and Sri Lankan markets through Pizza Hut in 2013, the Birizza is a thoughtful and Americanized reimagining of the popular Indian dish biryani. Well, it may not seem as absurd due to the fact that biryani is a very common dish in a very populated country, the blatant Americanization of the dish by bringing it to Pizza Hut is a bit head-scratching. Nonetheless, one could assume the product is doing well in Indian markets. According to Business Standard, as of April 2014, there were 320 Pizza Hut restaurants across India, all of which serve the Birizza. And really, why would you not try it? You have the option of the chicken Birizza, seasoned chicken curried vegetables and rice, or the vegetarian Birizza, paneer, cubed cheese, along with curried vegetables and rice. The fact that the average American probably hasn't tried biryani to begin with makes this dish all the more appealing. Personally, we find it more intriguing than outrageous, but this dish was too different not to include on the list. Take notes, Pizza Hut, USA. Number 6. Surf and Turf Burger Lobster Caviar Sandwich from Wendy's, Japan. Described by the Japanese news site Rocket24 as a genuinely luxurious burger with plenty of volume, Wendy's Japan introduced the Surf and Turf burger along with its non-burger counterpart, Lobster Caviar Sandwich, in August of 2012. These items were part of the then-new Ocean Premium submenu, along with a Lobster Caviar Sandwich. Both Ocean Premium sandwiches contain generous portions of Canadian lobster, but the Surf and Turf also contains a beef patty and a lobster salad, while the Lobster Caviar sandwich is simply lobster and caviar with no burger. The outrageousness of these items doesn't necessarily lie in how over the top they are, but in how classy and upscale Wendy's Japan is attempting to be with them. And it might just be classy enough to work too. The seaweed sandwiches were added to the Japan Premium menu, which offers items such as the foie gras ricini burger and porcini grilled chicken. Please, someone give an official stamp of approval to Wendy's Japan for attempting to transform an otherwise bland restaurant chain to appeal to more sophisticated tastes. If you ask us, more chains should try this route, despite the current trends of high-calorie fried food pairings. We would happily try these sandwiches. Number 5. The Gracoro burger from McDonald's Japan. There's the McRib, there's the fillet of fish, and then there's the Japan's Gracoro burger. And I say fillet of fish because that's how we pronounce it in the UK, but I was recently pointed out to in one of our last videos where I pronounced it the UK way that in America it's actually the filet of fish. Now, the reason we list these two subpar sandwiches in conjunction with McDonald's Japan's unique delight is that they each share similarities. The Gracoro burger is essentially the Japanese market's answer to America's McRib, in that it's only served in the winter months, and people get overly excited about it. But it's like the fillet of fish in that it's a seafood sandwich, only it seems significantly more delicious. The Gracoro burger, initially introduced into Japanese McDonald's restaurants in 1993, seems to be something of an alternative croquette sandwich. At first glance, the patty fairly resembles that of a fillet of fish, in that they both boast a seasoned breadcrumb exterior. Beneath the breadcrumbs of the Gracoro, however, is a creamy and tantalizing combination of shrimp, macaroni, and white sauce. According to Kotaku, as of 2012, McDonald's also launched a variety of the sandwich topped with demi-glaze sauce and cheddar cheese. Perhaps you aren't typically one to succumb to the shallow temptations that restaurants like McDonald's offer, but Japan is also not typical in their fast food offerings, if you couldn't tell by now. If you find yourself in Japan this winter, the Gracoro burger is certainly something to keep in mind. The sandwich goes for 380 yen, or about $3.22 in US currency. Number 4. Black Ninja Burger from Burger King Japan. Leave it to the culinary oddballs in Japan to churn out outrageous item after outrageous item. Behold the Black Ninja Burger from Burger King. The picture that we're showing here alone should be bizarre enough to appeal to anyone's taste buds. Introduced to the Japanese market in October of 2013, the Black Ninja gets its color from the buns being cooked over bamboo charcoal. The combination of ingredients on the burger seems absurd, but delicious, consisting of a hash brown, shredded lettuce, shallot, onion and garlic sauce, and a giant protruding slab of Canadian bacon. The slab of bacon sticks out of the sandwich like a tongue, and according to courts, is meant to represent the Japanese BK mascot of sorts, Kuro Ninja. Kuro Ninja is pictured in BK's marketing for the sandwich, sticking his tongue out in a taunting manner. Now that we've learned this tidbit, the protrusion of the bacon makes a little more sense, but that doesn't make it any less bizarre looking. Still, the press release had me convinced after reading hash browns and bacon. As of October the 25th, 2015, the Black Beauty was selling for 680 yen, or $6.25 in American. Number 3. Zinger Double Down King from KFC South Korea. While researching this next sandwich, I found that many publications named it as a monstrosity and horrifying, but anything you can consume in moderation without seriously hurting yourself shouldn't be labeled as such. The keyword here is moderation. Enter the Zinger Double Down King from KFC South Korea. When the original Double Down sandwich was introduced in 2009, it boasted a simple yet bold recipe of bacon, 2 different types of cheeses, and secret sauce in between 2 fillets of original recipe chicken. In October of 2014, KFC South Korea upped the ante by introducing the Zinger Double Down King, which adds a beef patty. Yes, we're covering all 3 spectrums of meat here, in between the chicken and bacon. Called terrifying by online food publication Food Beast, one would assume the sandwich would be quick to induce heart palpitations in even the most battle-hardened eaters, but the Zinger apparently only clocks in at 750 calories. It's hard to believe, but if that's the information we're given, we'll feel less terrible if we ever get our hands on one. Pictures from Twitter show consumers having to cut the sandwich with a steak knife just to dismantle it, and frankly, that's not surprising. What is surprising, however, is that this variation hasn't made it to overseas markets. Come on, KFC Korea, let us try it, and we'll promise we'll never bother you for anything again, because we'll either be sulking in bed alone or spending the night in the bathroom. Number 2. Double Down Dog from KFC Philippines. January the 26th, 2015, a day that will live in infamy, at least in the food industry. This is the day that KFC upped the ante again and decided to combine fried chicken with the worst meat product fast food has to offer: hot dogs. Continuing its trend of replacing innocent bread with fried chicken and throwing whatever the hell they want in between, KFC Philippines released the Double Down Dog only on January the 26th and 27th, and with only 50 sold per day at 11 locations in the country. And so at least they were attempting to limit the amount of arteries clogged. The Double Down Dog contains a hot dog, apparently of the chicken and cheese variety, and tops it with honey mustard before surrounding it with, yes, fried chicken. Let's hope there aren't any plans to bring this thing stateside, although a sandwich of this stature would seem more appropriate and would probably sell better in the US than anywhere else. Number 1. Double Sensation Pizza from Pizza Hut Singapore. There was a time, long ago, when the crust was the most boring part of the pizza. We're happy to say that that time is long gone, and Pizza Hut Singapore has fully taken advantage of that with its Double Sensation Pizza featuring 2 separate rings of stuffed crust. And that's not even close to being the only outrageous thing about this pie. It starts with the outer ring of crust stuffed with parmesan, mozzarella, and cheddar cheese, which in every picture looks to be exploding out of the dough. The outer pizza is topped with turkey ham, which I didn't know was a thing, bell peppers, mushrooms, and a salsa sauce. Moving on, the inner ring of crust is filled with chicken sausage and cheese. Yes, there are sausage links within the crust, and the inner pie is topped with smoked chicken, zucchini, and Alfredo pepper sauce. If that ingredient list seemed overwhelming to you, well, it probably did its job. This may take the cake, or pie, as the most over-the-top item on this list, and it somehow manages to stay desirable. The pizza was made available in Singapore in December of 2012, right around the time that the world was freaking out over the pending apocalypse. Perhaps it was planned. The world's ending, so we might as well go out and give hungry Singaporeans this pie as a last hurrah. In any case, the world is still here, and the memory of the double sensation lives on. The pizza sold for the equivalent of $21.75 for a 10-inch option and $27.49 for a 13-inch option. Since it seems to be several meals in one, we'd have no problem shelling out for one. It'd be an investment.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, do please give us a like below, it really helps out. Also, if there is an item that you've discovered on some world travels that gives these ones a run for their money, that's a pretty hard thing to do, I think, but if you have come across something, tell us about it below. I'd love to know what you've come across. Also, if you did enjoy this video, got a couple of other ones about fast food over there on the right, be sure to check them out. Also, subscribe to our channel, we put out other content just like this. So, thanks again for watching.